I have dropped bombs within 100 yards of American troop line on occasion, special purpose. And the reason you can do that is because the on course is just 50 feet. If you're within 25 feet of the center line of the bomb course, you get an on-course signal, and you change heading about a degree every minute is all you do. So it's essentially a straight line. We changed all the flight indicators to the kind that, the directional gyro to the kind that had the 1 degree markings, and you could follow this around, and they would measure your distance from a ground point on an arc that went through the target, and they keep track of your position on that arc from another ground point. And during the last minute of the bomb run, they would measure your speed within 1/100th of a mile an hour and calculate your drop and transmit it to you. And I think our net results, the British said that we Americans would never be able to use the system like they do, and they had an 85% cope rate, and us amateurs would have to do with something. Well, we did 90% was the number, and they sent us over Pathfinder wings. Little gold emblems off their caps that they wore. Pathfinder pilot in the RAF, everybody buys them drinks when he goes in the bar. They knew what they were. They're the guys that drop the flares from the Mossy's mosquitoes at night. The other guys drop the bombs in. Well, we went after primarily things like single-span railroad bridges, and we'd go after a target like that with either 18 or 16 or 33 airplanes, because we'd drop off the number 1 and 2 in the first box. And we had a 90% chance of knocking out that particular deal. And it didn't matter whether there's clouds or not. And that worked sometimes to your disadvantage, because if they had a really tough deal going on the ground and needed some real accuracy, they'd say, well, let's send the Pathfinders. And the fact there wasn't any clouds didn't slow them down a minute. So we had a few missions that were clear, and they're tough because 3 or 4 minutes out, you have to stop the evasive action and settle down to a line to hold it there. It had its compensations in a way, because when you got back, the operations officer could meet you in the doorway, and if you did a good job, he was there to shake your hands. And if you did a bad job, which we really didn't do, but you'd have been on the carpet then, because he had a ticker tape readout of your course for the last 2 minutes of your run, and measured in 100ths of a mile distance, which is 52 feet. So a typical tape would read 01, 01, 01, 00, 00, 01, like that, as you bracket the thing down. And we're talking about a total of 50-foot difference. Starting in, I guess, November 43, and during that winter of 43, 44, we led about 85% of the missions of the B-26 and A-26 units for bombing with the Mark III oboe. And it was an interesting experience, because we would take off we would get the field order in the mornings. We'd have to figure out the mission, plan the mission, go out and take off before daylight, no matter what the weather was. And they had a cute way of getting more people to do that by taking away higher level clearing authority. He said, all you Pathfinder pilots are your own clearing authority, and if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. You think it's all right, then you can go. Well, the result was you didn't even look at the weather. You just went out and trusted to luck. And it was lucky, I guess, because we didn't lose anybody that way. But we'd have to fly out to these satellite fields around to the other wings. And you can imagine how happy they were to see this strange pilot coming in here, probably with a 2 days beard and maybe covered with mud from conditions he's living in. And he stands up on the stage and tells you where he's going to take you. And then you go out and you follow him on a mission. Well, that didn't sit too well in the very beginning, but they soon found out that we usually went in bad weather, and we knew how to get around the flak because they gave us enough instrumentation. We had a G box in addition to the oboe, and we had good maps for the flak, and people found that the Pathfinder mission was usually a pretty happy mission with a lot of cloud under you and hardly any flak. So we got to be much more accepted. And I was very proud of being in the Pathfinders, and we had a really good record. And we felt we did a good blow for liberty.